No is a complete sentence. We tend to not set boundaries for ourselves, and it comes from feeling like we have to do everything that everyone wants us to do.
Welcome to the Femme Fit Entrepreneurs Podcast. We're your hosts, Aurelia Michael Holmgren and Brit Inez. Here we talk all things health, wealth, womanhood, and of course, ownership. So sit back or stand up straight on that treadmill and enjoy today's episode.
What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Femme Fit Entrepreneurs Podcast. And I am one half of your host, Brit Inez, and I am so excited to bring y'all my first of many solo episodes today on our podcast. So before we dig into it, just take a little minute, like, comment, subscribe while you are here, and let's get into this tea today, because I feel like this is a topic that so many of us can really benefit from just being honest about. And you already know we are here about having the honest, real discussions about all things health, wealth, womanhood, ownership, and all the other things in between. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of today's episode, I think the big thing is this. We need to kind of all embrace the fact that we may not always be balancing things as well as we think we are, okay? And the reason I say that is because when we are so focused and so fixated on doing all these things to 100% in our entire life, something's going to fall through the cracks. And 9 times out of 10, it's us that falls through the cracks. It's us that gets on the back burner. Our self-care takes a back seat. Our mental health takes a back seat. I know that's been my story. That's been the story of so many women that I've connected with and talked to over the years. So if that's you, just take a little minute. Let me know in the comments, because before I get into our comments for today, and before I get into our takeaways for the day, I just want to start off with a personal story that I know that changed my entire trajectory of how my life is now going, right? I found myself in this place, gosh, time now flies, about 7 years ago. And I had just started my business, right? I had left my corporate job and I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in with this business thing. And y'all, I went all in like I normally do with so many things in my life. And I fell flat on my face. Okay. Hindsight, probably should have waited to leave, but you know, it's always blessings in the lessons. So it's just a part of my story now. But I remember just being so focused and so fixated on just wanting to make things work that I was spending hours upon hours working a day, working well into the night. My personal relationships were starting to suffer. My own health was starting to suffer. I looked up one day, I couldn't fit anything in my closet except for stuff that was stretchy. And I remember just having like a moment, right? I think we all have that coming to Jesus moments. I had a moment with myself in my closet, like, how did I get here? And I just realized that I had gotten so caught up on just doing all these things that I was forgetting to be Brit. I was forgetting that we are not just a human doing, we are human beings. And that's when I recommitted to saying, okay, you know what? No matter what I have going on in life, no matter what I'm trying to achieve or accomplish, I am going to always make sure that I am making time to pour into my own cup. So that way my own self-care doesn't suffer and my health doesn't suffer and my mental health doesn't suffer. So kind of let me know if that's kind of been you in the comments, because I know that was a big aha moment for me and so many people that I had connected with during that time of my life. When I would talk to them, my default answer was, oh, how you doing? I'm busy. It got so bad, y'all, to the point where every time someone would ask me before I could even respond, they're like, I know, you're busy, right? And that was kind of like when I was like, okay, we need to kind of figure this out because this is not going to work. So one of the first steps I did was this. I had to embrace that self-care isn't selfish. I think a lot of times it's painted on us as being selfish if we want to take a time out, take a beat, and do whatever it is for us, and it doesn't necessarily benefit directly somebody else, right? Because the reality is it kind of does indirectly benefit those around you. And the reason I say that is because everything on that list that you have to do, I don't care what it is, I don't care how long that list is or how important you think it is not going to be done to the best of your ability if you are not 100% okay in the process. Okay. If you're not in a good place, guess what? You're not going to respond as probably as caring as you could, as considerate as you could. You're not going to have as much patience as you could have. You're not going to have as much mental clarity as you could have if you're not in a good place. Okay. So while we tend to kind of tell ourselves that, oh, I don't have time to do this for myself, you do actually have the time, and everything else in your life is going to improve by you taking said time, including your relationships, including especially with your significant others. Because I know for me, anytime that I have been in a super high stress moment, let's call it that, you tend to take it out on, or you can take it out on the people that are closest to you, right? So think about it. If you start pouring more into your own cup when you're feeling that kind of stress, the people around you who love you don't have to feel the brunt end of it. And then everything just works and operates better in your life because of it. And if you have people in your life that are telling you, oh, it's really selfish for you to take this time and do this and do that, own it. Let them think it. Let them think it. Because I think one of the things that I had to really understand and realize is that everyone's going to have an opinion about what you do with your life and what you don't do with your life. Everyone's going to always have an opinion about how you should be spending your time, what you should be doing more of, what you should be doing less of, right? The only person that you have to really care about in all of this is you, because it is 100% impossible to manage the expectations of everyone else around you. And I found that once I got really unapologetic about that, everyone else around me did too. They're just like, okay, go ahead and take your time. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way you talk about it. Because if you position it as, well, I kind of should take some time to myself, people aren't going to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, why don't you do that? How can I create space in your schedule for you to do that, right? So part of the ownership piece that we talk about is understanding that you're going to have to own that piece of it to actually set that time with yourself. Okay. Which brings me to my next point. And that is the second thing I really did and started to do, and I still do it to this day, is just embrace the idea and embrace the concept that no is a complete sentence. I'm going to say it again. No is a complete sentence. We tend to not set boundaries for ourselves, and it comes from feeling like we have to do everything that everyone wants us to do, right? Or we might just have this understanding in our head that we have to achieve all these things, otherwise we won't be as great, or we won't be as whatever, fill in the blank with, right? But when you begin to operate in the idea that no is a complete sentence, you no longer feel like you have to explain yourself to people when it's something you don't want to do. Or it might be something you wanted to do when it first came up, but you might get around and said you're tired, or you might be sick, or you might have had, something come up that it really needs your attention, and now you're feeling guilty, right? I think us holding on to guilt around hurting other people's feelings or letting them down causes us to say yes to more things than we really need to be saying yes to. So really think about what are the things that you're committing yourself to, and like look at that list. Like make a list of all the stuff, right? Whether you look at your schedule over a week, whether you look at your schedule over a month. And if you look at this schedule and you feel more stressed out about it versus like excited that you get to do it, and you're feeling like it's a chore for you to have to go and do these things versus a pleasure and a luxury that you get to go and do these things, it's definitely time to set some boundaries in place. And guys, I just did this, and it was probably one of the most beneficial things I have done in quite a long time. And I knew it was something that I needed to do because I had a stacked schedule where just about every other weekend was something else. And I knew that I was sacrificing my own self-care to accommodate all those things in my schedule, right? So eventually I just said, hey, you know what? On this date, I'm not going to be able to attend. I'm feeling very strained. I'm feeling really pulled in a lot of directions at the moment. And I just need to kind of take a step back and just have some weekends where I don't do anything. And what I found was that instead of it being met with resistance or being met with someone being disappointed, I mean, of course, right? Your loved ones, they want you to be there. But it was, you know what? I'm proud of you for communicating your needs. I'm proud of you for communicating your boundaries. And I think you are going to be very surprised at the reaction that you get when you start communicating things from a place of, hey, this is what I need for me to be okay. It totally changes it. And it's not something that is being looked at, oh, they just being selfish because they don't want to socialize. It's no, like I need a bit, I need a minute, I need a beat because I'm not gonna be okay if I keep going at this pace, right? This extends to also your work life. Say it again. This also extends to your work life. Okay. So balancing the wealth part of it, especially if you are one of our listeners out there that's an entrepreneur, but you also have a 9 to 5 and you are building up your business while working a 9 to 5 and using that to invest into your business. It can be a lot and it can be really draining. And even if you don't have the constraints or the demands on your schedule of having a business and also a full-time job, and you just have a full-time job, it can still be demanding, right? Because people wanted what they wanted yesterday. So I have found that even communicating your boundaries and what you can and cannot do, realistically, given the time frame that they want, is so beneficial because one is going to help you to manage your day. So you're not going through this entire day feeling like you're constantly suffering and underperforming because you're not crossing off the things on your to-do list, right? And two is also going to communicate to people how much you can actually do, like and realistically do with accuracy and also with excellence. And while you might not be able to say, you know what, no, I don't feel like doing that, okay? Because you have a job to do. You were hired for a reason. They're paying you to do a job. But you can definitely say, hey, given that you've given me these other tasks to do, I don't have the time to get all those things done in a day. How can I reprioritize these things so I can get done what's most important to you today? That alone is going to help alleviate your workload. And I have worked in some very high stress corporate environments, small business environments, and it has worked each and every time with each and every organization I have worked in. So no is a complete sentence, applies to so many aspects of your life. And I guarantee you, if you're feeling like, and you're listening to this saying, yeah, but you don't understand my job, trust me. If you were to, for Lord forbid, you don't make it tomorrow, they will have your replacement the next day. Okay. So understand and realize that you are the most important thing and nothing is more important than you. Okay. All right. So let's get into the last thing that I had to do to really kind of get back to me being Brit, get back to me feeling like I was me again. And this is something that I've not only done, but my clients have done it too. And it's, you still have to find the time to do things that make you feel like you are that girl. Now, that's different for all of us. For some of us, it's, putting on a face of makeup, getting a beat face. For some of us, it's going and putting on something that you look and just feel really confident in, that they can't tell you nothing. They can't tell you you're not popping in. Okay. Whatever that may be for you, lean into that, especially in the femininity front, because I feel like in a state of high stress, it's one of the first things to go. We stop putting as much attention and energy and effort into the little things, right? That are little things to us that make us feel good about ourselves. Also on that list is working out too, because we get so busy, we tend to say, oh, I don't got time for this, or well, I really need to get up and start doing this. Guess what? An extra half an hour of you not answering some emails, of you not doing whatever, fill in the blank with whatever, it's not going to end the world. It's not going to end the world. I promise you it's going to be okay. Okay. It's not that deep. Take the extra time to do it because it may seem small. It may seem pointless, but I promise you it's going to help elevate your mood. It's going to help boost your own spirit. You're going to shine brighter. Your whole energy is going to be different. And especially, let me just kind of say this, especially if you work from home. Okay. If you have the luxury of working from home, I work from home. Showing up and sitting at your computer and sweats and stuff can be super comforting. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty of days where I do it. Okay. And I'm sitting here chilling like a villain. But on the days where I'm feeling like, you know what? I don't want to dress like how I feel better. And I think when you begin to look at things and say, okay, you don't have to have a special occasion to do something. I think a lot of times we tell ourselves, well, I would do it, but I ain't going over special. You're special enough. You woke up. Okay. Just the fact of you waking up alone, that's a special occasion. And I think we tend to wait for these moments where we have to have a socially identifiable event as being validation enough to do our makeup, to look a certain way, to dress a certain way. You don't have to have that. And the more you can find moments to do that within your day to day, within your week to week, the more you're going to feel more like yourself and the more you're going to feel good within. Okay. And it may look different. Like every week, it may look different, right? Some weeks it might be you take some time to do a full-on skin treatment, skincare. I'm big on skincare. If you guys follow me, I have tons of skincare stuff out. My skincare wishes is all down in the comments below. But even if it's just you doing something like that, okay, those little 5 minutes, it may not seem like a lot, but it's everything. Why? Because it's you treating yourself better. And what happens is the better you begin to treat yourself, the better other people around you treat you too. Okay. It really is a trickle down effect. And the energy that you put out, you really do attract back. So while you feel like some of these things are just like, oh, well, I don't really want to, I don't really deserve to do this, or I'm too busy to do that. Actually, you deserve to do it. Okay. 100%. And the people around you are going to thank you for it, even if they don't know they're going to thank you for it. Because what's going to happen after I make these kind of changes that I'm sharing with you, after my ladies that I've worked with made those changes in their lives, within their own journeys, they started noticing that they were just happier in general. They were happier to be around. They were more enjoyable, right? They shined brighter. They walked with more confidence. They talked better to themselves about themselves because they no longer felt like they were operating in this state of this constant, like high stress mental place of not having it together or not having any control of what's going on around them. Okay. So the balancing act really comes down to pouring back into yourself, acknowledging that, self-care is essential. Okay. Embracing that no is a complete sentence and doing things to make you feel like you are that girl. So kind of let me know which one of those things are you going to take some time to do. And I also want to end things on a high note because I think we all deserve to have a little giggles here and there, right? Especially when we are just always pulled in so many directions, so many ways. So I have made it no secret that I am in the dating world. Okay. I am not married. And because of that, I have collected quite a few stories over the years. So I have decided that when I do these solo episodes, I'm going to do a laughing through love little segment at the end. And I'm going to pick a story through one of the many. I got them for days. Just something that just tickles me to this end to share with you guys. So, all right, check this out. So I was on a date with this person, and I was on a date with this guy, and he was so handsome, y'all. And it's just one of those people, you see him, you're just like, oh man, this was, not mind you, this was years ago. Okay. Years ago. I think I was still living in Chicago at the time. So that's how long ago this was. And I remember we went on this date. We went to dinner. And I had never really gone out with him before. We met kind of in passing, like through work, some kind of work event we met at. So we hadn't talked that much, like not that much. Okay. So I just want to say, little PSA that I have taken with me ever since that day is, y'all, make sure that your date can read the menu of the place you're going to dine at. Now, this was not like a fancy restaurant, okay? This was not a restaurant where things were not written in English, okay? Because I've been in those before and don't get me wrong, I would probably be struggling too. This was none of that, okay? This was none of that. This was an Italian place. And I remember sitting there and the waitress comes over and she goes, okay, what will you guys have? We were going to order some appetizers, okay? So he goes, and with the plainest look on his face, I wish you guys could just see the level of confidence this man had when he said it. He goes, I'll have the bruschetta. And when he said it, y'all, my stomach dropped a little bit. And I said, ooh. My stomach dropped a little bit. And in my head, y'all, I'm looking out the window because it's like a busy street in Chicago, downtown Chicago. I'm like, I'm just going to look out the window because my faces need deliverance on a good day. I'm like, I don't know what my face is going to do right now. So I gathered myself and I realized he was trying to say bruschetta. Okay. So y'all, the waitress, she looks at me, and you ever know how you have a whole conversation with somebody and y'all don't say a word to each other, but it's a whole exchange happened. I looked at her, she looked at me, I looked at her. I'm like, look, sis, he cute. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. And we gave each other a little laugh, a little chuckle, and kept it moving. Okay. So the little dating tidbit to y'all today is to make sure your date can read the menu of the restaurant that you are dining at. And on that note, we are going to wrap today's episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining. As always, we welcome all the feedback that you guys have, all the questions that you guys have. let me know, how are you going to bring balance back into your life, right? Let me know some things that you want us to cover and talk about. Nothing is really off limits, okay? And don't forget to continue to support us, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys all in the next episode. Talk to you later. Bye.